Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about demand and supply. This is from section 2 of your Igcse economics. What exactly is demand? Demand refers to the willingness and ability of consumers to buy goods and services. So if somebody is willing to buy goods or services, then they're demanding them, okay? For demand to be effective, that desire to buy goods and services, that willingness must be backed by their ability as well. So it's not that they should just only be willing to buy something, they must also be able to buy something for there to be demand for something within the markets. The demand interacts with supply. You can say in response to the demand of the consumer, the suppliers, they produce goods and services and supply them to the market. When demand and supply interact, then there is an exchange of goods for money, of course, and hence the market equilibrium is formed. Now we're going to study that in a little bit more detail. Let me first explain what exactly is demand and how we construct a demand curve. So on a graph, we've got two axes. Here we're going to write price, and here we're going to write quantity. And this could be quantity demanded or quantity supplied. Okay, so the price quantity relation is such that when price increases, the quantity demanded decreases. This is an inverse relationship. And when price decreases, the quantity demanded increases. Please remember this rule. Okay, there's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Okay, so what we do is that we keep track of demand at different price points and we draw a demand schedule. Once we have drawn demand schedule, we can plot that schedule on the graph. So it forms the demand curve. So let's say if we're assuming there to be 5 different price points, let's say $1, $2, $3, $4, and $5. This is a price of a candy, for example. At $1, more quantities of candies would be demanded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what happens is that $1, you can see 10 units could be demanded. At $1, 5 units are demanded. At $4, at $2, 8 units are demanded. So what's happening is as prices are going up, the quantity demand is decreasing, and if the price would go down, the quantity demand would increase. So this depicts an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Obviously my diagram is not drawn to scale, and it could be the case with any other demand curve. The numbers could differ, but the phenomenon is such that there will be an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. This is also called your law of demand. So this here is your demand curve. So basically a demand curve is depicting the price and quantity demanded relationship. Okay, it's drawn as per the law of demand. So in drawing this demand curve, we know that when price increases, the quantity demand would decrease, and when the price would decrease, the quantity demand would increase. That's why this curve is downward sloping from left to right. Okay. Now, is price the only factor that influences the level of demand? I just told you what's the definition of demand. Demand refers to the willingness and ability of consumers to buy goods and services. The consumers are willing and able to buy goods and service. Their willingness, of course, would depend upon the other factors as well, but their ability would depend upon the price that they're paying and also the income they're earning. So their willingness and ability could be impacted due to a variety of factors. And one of the key factors is prices. When the price is low, the consumers are able to afford more goods and services. And when the prices are high, the consumers are not able to afford enough goods and services. They can afford fewer goods and services. All right? So price is a very important factor that affects our quantity demanded. Price is a very important factor that affects our quantity demanded. But apart from price, and this has been shown here, okay, the price going down, the coin demand decreases, the price going up, the coin demand increases. I can actually put the arrows here as well. If the price would go up, the coin demand would decrease. If the price would go down, let's put that in red, the coin demand would increase. Now, it's often that due to a known price factor, the demand increases as well. So let's say if the demand at $2, let me get back to the black ink, was 8 units, and it got to 10 units when the price went down from $2 to $1. If the price went down from $2 to $1, the coin demand would increase from 8 units to 10 units. This is called extension in demand. What is called? Extension in demand curve. We call it extension of demand. When the coin demand increases as a result of decrease in price. And if on the other hand, if the price went up, let's say, let me just erase this here. If the price went up from $2 to $3, the coin demand would decrease from 8 units to 6 units. You can just follow the curve. This is called contraction of demand. Okay? Once you've understood the extension and contraction of your demand curve, I'm just going to erase it. You can draw this diagram for your understanding, and then you can draw the rest on the other diagram. I'm going to erase it because we need the space to incorporate a few more things within the same diagram. So it could be very much possible that due to some known price factor, the quantity demanded has increased. Your demand could get affected due to factors other than price. So let's say if the incomes rose, it has got nothing to do with price. People are, becoming more resourceful in general. They've become a little bit rich because of their increase in income levels. They're now able to afford more goods and services. So even at $2, they're willing to buy 10 units. If the price was $3, they would have been buying 8 units instead of 6. At $3, if they're buying 8 units instead of 6, and so on for all the prices. If the demand increases at each and every price point, at each and every price level, the demand rising, this causes the demand curve to shift towards right. This here is increase in demand. Basically, even when the price goes down, the demand increases, but that's called extension. We call this as increase in demand. So this terminology can leave some of you confused, but we would rather say that was increase in quantity demanded, okay? This quantity demanded. But this here is increase in demand. And when there's an increase in demand, the demand curve shifts towards right. Okay, shift towards right. I believe this much is enough, but there's one more thing that I'm going to explain to you here within this video itself. When we are talking about extension and contraction, let me put an E here to refer to an extension and C here to refer to a contraction. We are assuming that price is the only factor that's affecting, you see, the price is the only factor that's affecting our demand levels. And we're assuming that every other thing is constant. The income levels have not changed during the time period in which the prices have increased and the quantity demand has got affected. The consumer's preferences have not changed. All the factors are held constant except for price. And only price and quantity relationship is taken into consideration. When we do that, when we take only price and quantity relationship into consideration, then if you're taking only price and quantity relation into consideration, then this is called your ceterus paribus assumption. Okay, this is called your ceterus paribus assumption. When we consider other factors as well, the factors other than price would cause your demand curve to shift. So if there's an increase in demand, the demand curve shifts towards right. If there's a decrease in demand, that means the quantity demand would decrease at each and every price level. This would cause the demand curve to shift towards left. This here is decrease in decrease in demand. Okay, so if it's only because of if it's extension or contraction, you can see here C's and E's that I've mentioned. Okay, if this is a contraction and this is an extension, okay, this is only due to price factor. This here, when we're assuming this relationship, this is also called your law of demand. Okay, the price going up, the quantity demand decreasing, this is called contraction. And this here is extension. Remember that this is your law of demand. What is it? It's your law of demand. And it's an inverse relationship. When the price goes up, the quantity demand decreases. When the price goes down, the quantity demand increases. And throughout this diagram, when we draw a downward sloping demand curve, throughout our depiction of the schedule in the form of diagram, we're assuming that all other factors are held constant. This is called ceterus paribus assumption. Please learn this as well. So this is like a summary of the entire chapter within your textbook, and I've summarized in this little page that you see over here. It covers almost all the concepts that are necessary to understand what exactly is demand, what causes movements in demand curve. Your contraction and your extension are movements in demand curve, okay? And they are due to law of demand. And when we are implying the law of demand, we are assuming ceterus paribus, that all other factors are held constant. And when we're not going by this assumption, and when we are accounting for the effect of non-price factors, then this causes the demand curve to shift. It either shifts towards right when there's an increase in demand, or it shifts towards left when there's a decrease in demand. I think that much will be it for today's video. You can rewatch it to get a better understanding of it. In our next video, we're going to talk about supply.